Good Yule! The other celebration which I associate particularly with the end of Yule, although I've seen references to it happening on Yule Eve, which would correspond to Mother's Night, is the last great feast at which one makes one's oaths for the coming year, the heathen equivalent of New Year's resolutions. This is a very ceremonial occasion which happens in several Scandinavian sources and is referred to as heitstrenging, a ceremonial oath-making. And the particularity of this is that it's made in association with the sacrifice of the Yule boar, which is sacred, of course, to Freyr, and is referred to in the text as the sonargöltr, or possibly the sónargöltr. If one takes it to be a short O, then it's related to, or comparable to, a Lombard word and refers to the Porcine equivalent of a bellwether. A bellwether is the lead ram of a herd of sheep, of a flock of sheep, the ram that beats up all the other rams and takes the lead, and so the shepherd would put a bell on this ram because where the bell was sounding would be where the rest of the flock was headed. The equivalent would be the sonargöltr, would be the lead pig in a herd of pigs, and you have to remember that pigs, when left to their own devices and not penned in too closely, are quite intelligent and self-willed beasts, and the ancestors kept pigs which were a lot closer to wild boars than our current farmed pigs. So these were redoubtable animals, and the sonargöltr would have been quite a clever and fearsome critter. Alternatively, and this is the etymology that Cleegby Viferson gives without question, it's sónargöltr, and it's the atonement boar. And I do not find any suggestion that atonement is involved, but this is generally taken as the meaning of the word. I don't know what one would be supposed to be atoning for. In any event, the oaths were taken after the boar was ceremonially brought into the feast hall for the Vetsla, and this is immediately reminiscent of the custom at Queen's College of singing the Boar's Head Carol while the head of the wild boar is ceremonially brought in for their banquet. There's an obvious heathen survival somewhere behind that. Then, at some point during the feast, the heitstrenging would take the form of each person laying their hand on the bristles of the boar and swearing in turn. And these were the most sacred oaths of the year, the New Year's oaths. I associate this with the end of Yule because it doesn't seem to make much sense to me to have the great feast on the same night as the Mother's Night. I imagine that Yuletide would have been a series of feasts. It is, after all, 12 days and nights, and that the culminating feast was the one when they would have done the heitstrenging. So the modern heathens usually do have some connection to Freyr in what they do at Yule, but I'd like to suggest that we consider taking a very careful stock and incorporating our New Year's resolutions into the culmination of our Yule festivities. Whether or not you have a whole wild boar that you can roast and serve up as bloat, that would be wonderful, but obviously a live animal bloat is not for everyone and has to be very seriously and carefully undertaken so that you don't offend the gods by messing up the butchering of the animal. Another alternative which is done in some places is there is a continuing folk tradition of eating marzipan pigs, and bread in the shape of pigs in modern heathenry. So perhaps if you want to incorporate the boar symbology with your end of Yule bloat and or your New Year's resolutions, I suggest that that's a much easier alternative for all of us. And this brings this year's Yule series to a close. I hope you've enjoyed it. Feel free to throw brickbats, offer bouquets, or ask probing questions in the comments. Good Yule.